Sarah, in a moment of raw honesty, unexpectedly demanded a $85,000 gift, revealing her true emotions. Her audacity to return home so confidently after eloping with my fiancé, merely because she's expecting, didn't automatically grant her forgiveness. My father, with a steady voice, firmly told her to leave, highlighting her misplaced expectation of a warm welcome for her planned childbirth at home. Despite Sarah's bold demeanor, she seemed oblivious to the harsh reality that she had no home to welcome her back and had lost something far greater. My name is Carolyn Judy, I'm 28, and soon I'll marry into the Dennis family. My upcoming wedding, set a year back, was a relief to my friends who were concerned about my prolonged singlehood. They insisted on taking me to a social gathering, even though I felt it wasn't their place to worry. Due to my plain appearance, I've always been insecure about not having certain physical attributes. Since childhood, I doubted anyone could find me attractive. At the gathering, I met Dennis, my fate. Dennis, the life of the party, approached me, a wallflower. His simple greeting made my heart race. He appreciated my career, recognizing the hard work behind it, which made my studious, less sociable past feel worthwhile. Dennis found comfort in my calm presence, contrasting his lively nature. Surprisingly, he became my first boyfriend. With him, life's simple pleasures, from movies to dinners, became joyous shared experiences. After a year, he proposed, and we began planning our wedding. Despite his sociability and good looks, which I felt were too matchless for me, our relationship blossomed. Introducing Dennis to my parents, my mother's reaction was hurtful yet expected. Her surprise at my ability to attract someone as handsome as Dennis felt embarrassing. My father, sensing the discomfort, advised her to refrain from such comments. My mother's unintentional insults about my appearance, suggesting cosmetic changes, have long affected my self-esteem. My older sister Sarah, with her stunning looks, has always been the family's pride, making any compliments towards me feel insubstantial in comparison. During the marriage introduction, I hoped for genuine support from my family. Yet, the pattern of undermining comments continued. Suddenly, Sarah's entrance changed the atmosphere. Her beauty and charm captivated Dennis instantly. Their immediate rapport overshadowed my presence, and Dennis's continuous praise for Sarah on our way home left me feeling sidelined. Sarah's unexpected demand for a lavish gift upon her return, pregnant and unapologetic for her past actions, disrupts the delicate balance of familial relationships. Her blatant disregard for the consequences of her choices highlights the complexities of forgiveness and acceptance within a family torn by betrayal and rivalry. Amidst these tensions, my journey of self-acceptance and love, despite insecurities and external judgments, emerges as a testament to resilience and the unexpected paths to finding happiness. Dennis's admiration for Carolyn's family was evident, especially when he marveled at the $85,000 her father had set aside for their wedding. He couldn't hide his excitement about joining a family with such beauty and kindness, playfully imagining gaining a beautiful sister and a generous dad. Carolyn found his lightheartedness endearing, a refreshing antidote to her worries. However, Dennis's mood shifted dramatically a week later. With the ease of someone discussing the weather, he suggested they break up. Carolyn, confused and still smiling, couldn't grasp the gravity of his words at first. Dennis's explanation was brutal. He claimed he never loved her, dismissing their relationship as a mistake based on a fleeting attraction to her hard-working, serious demeanor. He admitted to fantasizing about the benefits of marrying Carolyn, but recoiled at the thought of being permanently tied to someone he found unattractive. Revealing his decision to marry Sarah instead, he delivered the final blow to Carolyn's already fragile self-esteem. Sarah's glee at her engagement to Dennis and the family's reaction further twisted the knife. Her mother celebrated Sarah's upcoming marriage with a grand feast, seemingly oblivious to the pain it caused Carolyn. In contrast, her father's shock and disappointment were palpable, his actions betraying a deep-seated sorrow for the situation unfolding before him. The family dynamic fractured further as Sarah mocked their father's distress, leading to a heated exchange that ended with him demanding Sarah and her mother leave, unable to tolerate the betrayal and mockery any longer. In the aftermath, Carolyn's father, overwhelmed with emotion, apologized to her, hinting at a deeper, previously unspoken truth. The story of Carolyn, Dennis, and Sarah is a poignant exploration of betrayal, family dynamics, and the search for self-worth amidst personal turmoil. Carolyn's journey through heartbreak, and humiliation, set against her sister's insensitivity and her family's complex reactions, underscores the importance of understanding and compassion in healing from life's most challenging moments. I tried to find strength in acceptance, telling myself it was for the best that everything fell apart before the wedding. I reasoned that a man like Dennis, capable of such betrayal, was bound to stray eventually. Despite my attempt at bravery, I couldn't hold back my tears. My dad assured me of his unwavering support, holding my hand tightly and providing a moment of solace that allowed me to release the pent-up emotions by embracing him. After that painful chapter, Sarah and Dennis became distant memories, their lives moving forward without me as they settled into their new life together, far from the city where our paths had once crossed. The separation was a small comfort, considering the emotional scars left behind. Time and distance helped to dull the sharpness of the wound, and with each passing day, my life slowly returned to a semblance of normalcy. It's been a year since that tumultuous time, and the sting of betrayal has lessened, allowing me to rebuild my relationship with my family, especially with my dad's support. On a visit home, I decided to cook pork belly for my dad, a small gesture to enjoy our time together. However, an unexpected interruption shattered our peaceful moment. The door opened to reveal Sarah and Dennis, an unwelcome blast from the past. My father's shock mirrored my own, his previous command for Sarah to stay away seemingly forgotten in her mind. Sarah's casual dismissal of past hurts and her announcement of her pregnancy was manipulative, assuming that a new life could erase the betrayal and mend fences. Her demand for an $85,000 gift as a form of reconciliation was audacious, revealing her true intentions hadn't changed. In the face of their insensitivity and mockery, I struggled to maintain my composure, their cruel laughter at my expense a painful reminder of the emotional journey I had undergone. This confrontation was not just a reopening of old wounds, but a test of my resilience. Sarah's attempt to use her pregnancy as leverage was a stark illustration of her unchanged nature, prioritizing material gain over genuine reconciliation. My father's and my refusal to be swayed by her manipulation marked a step forward in healing, reaffirming our dignity in the face of unwarranted provocations. The journey of recovery from betrayal is complex and fraught with setbacks, but it also offers opportunities for growth, self-discovery, and the reaffirmation of one's worth and values. Reflecting on the harsh words exchanged, it was a moment of painful realization for me. Dennis's comment about anger making me uglier was meant to be hurtful, yet it only highlighted the superficiality of their judgments. Sarah's attempt to demean me further, even as my father and I chose silence, showcased their true colors. Their actions marred their beauty, their laughter echoing a lack of genuine kindness. As the confrontation escalated, Sarah revealed her plan to return home for her childbirth, oblivious to the seismic shifts within our family dynamic. Her casual inquiry about our mother's whereabouts unveiled her ignorance of the recent familial upheaval. The revelation that our mother had been asked to leave, a decision spurred by her favoritism towards Sarah, and the subsequent rift it caused, was news to Sarah. The fact that our parents had divorced, partly due to the turmoil Sarah's actions had wrought, seemed unfathomable to her. Sarah's self-centeredness persisted, even in light of the divorce. Her unrealistic expectations of returning to a non-existent support system highlighted her inability to grasp the gravity of her actions and their consequences on our family. The idea that she could resume her former life, ignoring the significant changes, was a testament to her denial and selfishness. The absence of our mother's belongings, which once filled the home with warmth, served as a stark reminder of the altered state of our family. Sarah's shock at the realization that she would now be solely responsible for her child underscored her unpreparedness for motherhood. Her lament about the challenges of child-rearing, contrasted with her desire for a glamorous life, was telling of her priorities. Despite being confronted with the reality of our parents' divorce and her role in it, Sarah's response was to further impose herself on our father, expecting him to shoulder the responsibilities she was unwilling to accept. Her apology to me, though laced with a semblance of sweetness, felt empty and manipulative, a last-ditch effort to garner sympathy and assistance. My father's firm rejection of Sarah's plea marked a turning point, his refusal to be swayed by her pleas a clear boundary against further manipulation, his declaration that Sarah was no longer considered. His daughter was a painful yet necessary assertion of his stance against the disregard and disrespect she had shown toward our family. This tumultuous exchange, while fraught with emotional turmoil, was a critical moment of clarity. It underscored the importance of respect, responsibility, and the consequences of one's actions. revealing the deep fissures that selfishness and manipulation can create within a family. The journey towards healing and understanding would be long and complex, but necessary for moving forward from the shadows of the past. Feeling a mixture of revulsion and clarity, I realized the depth of our estrangement. I have no obligation to care for you. We're not family, we're strangers, my dad stated, his words cutting through the air. Sarah, incredulous and hurt, questioned the fragility of our familial bonds, only to be met with a revelation that shattered her understanding of our family dynamics. We were not related by blood. Dad explained that Sarah was the child of our mom from a previous relationship, and I was born after they remarried. This revelation shed light on the preferential treatment Sarah received from our mom, perhaps driven by a fear of losing her dad's affection. Despite this, Dad's love for us never wavered, affirming my place in his heart, regardless of biology. Sarah, learning of her non-biological connection to her dad for the first time, was overwhelmed. She had grown up believing in their blood relation, and her entire perception of the family suddenly upended. In her shock, she lashed out, claiming a twisted sense of relief at not sharing Dad's genetics, hoping for a more favorable biological heritage. Sarah's attempt to leverage the situation for financial gain, requesting the $85,000 allocated for my wedding as a baby shower gift, was met with firm rejection. Dad, steadfast in his resolve, declared there was no financial support for those he now considered strangers, advising her to seek assistance from her mother. Dennis's interjection, appealing to a sense of paternal duty, failed to sway Dad. His repeated refusal underscored a severance of ties not just with Sarah, but with the obligations imposed by a now-dissolved marriage. Sarah's parting words, filled with bitterness and blame, aimed to cast Dad in the role of the villain in her narrative. Yet, Dad's explanation revealed a deeper manipulation at play. The discovery that our mom had sabotaged the legal adoption process to continue receiving child support from Sarah's biological father painted a complex picture of deception and self-interest that had long underpinned our family's dynamics. This confrontation, though painful, brought to light the tangled web of relationships and motives that had defined our family. It underscored the realization that familial bonds, built on foundations of honesty and love, can withstand the trials of life, while those rooted in deception and self-gain eventually unravel, leaving behind a trail of hurt and disillusionment. In the wake of our parents' remarriage, Mom chose to retain her maiden name, a decision that, in hindsight, was likely aimed at concealing the marriage from Sarah and the outside world. Dad shared this with a tone of disgust, highlighting the ulterior motives behind such a choice. The child support money, rather than benefiting Sarah, seemingly ended up as mere spending cash for Mom. This revelation further distanced Dad from Sarah, emphasizing the absurdity of expecting financial support from him post-divorce, likening Sarah's demands to extortion. Sarah, faced with the stark reality of our dad's stance, reacted with a mix of anger and humiliation. Her attempts to paint Dad as heartless were met with the counter-argument that the true coldness came from our mother. My inquiry into Sarah's unannounced return home for childbirth unveiled a deeper issue. Her inability to contact her mom, coupled with her expectation of unwavering support, underscored her misplaced sense of entitlement and the shock of being potentially abandoned. Sarah's belief in our mom's unconditional love was shattered by the unfolding truth. The estrangement following her elopement with Dennis fractured our family, leading to our parents' divorce and Mom's abrupt disappearance with funds meant for Sarah. This act of betrayal was compounded by the realization that Mom had kept Sarah in the dark about both the divorce and the missing money. Confronted with the harsh reality, Sarah's frustration and desperation surfaced as she demanded her share of the savings, a plea met with my firm response that the responsibility lay with our mom. Sarah's struggle to come to terms with her situation was palpable, her panic escalating as she turned to Dennis for support, only to find him evasive and unhelpful. Dennis's inability to provide comfort or solutions highlighted his opportunistic nature, exposing the fragility of Sarah's reliance on him. Her outcry at being left to suffer alone marked a moment of despair, a stark contrast to the earlier demands for financial support and familial reconciliation. The confrontation ended with Sarah's departure, but the ordeal was far from over. In a dramatic twist, Sarah threatened to erase all memories of our family, a desperate act reflecting her turmoil and the depth of the rift that had formed among us. This threat, while shocking, underscored the profound impact of the revelations and the emotional fallout from years of misunderstandings and manipulations within our family. Late one night, I was jolted awake by my phone ringing. Groggily, I answered, not fully aware of what I was doing. and suddenly, I was staring at a live video. My heart stopped for a moment when I saw flames licking the entrance of our family home. The fire, initially small and confined to the potted plants, seemed ready to engulf everything, spurred on by the wind. Dennis's face popped up on the screen, his tone unnervingly casual as he insinuated that I might have been careless, before admitting to setting the fire himself as part of a twisted scheme to coerce me into handing over the $85,000 meant for my wedding. His attempt to blackmail me into surrendering the money in exchange for putting out the fire confirmed my worst opinions of him. I refused, clarifying their mistake. The house was supposed to be empty, since Dad had moved in with me to avoid any potential harassment from them. Their plan was based on false premises, making their actions even more reckless and unfounded. As we argued, the situation escalated rapidly. To our horror, my mother appeared from inside the burning house, revealing she was the unintended victim of their dangerous gambit. Sarah's immediate response, far from concern, was to demand her money, showing a shocking lack of empathy as Mom stumbled and fell, injured by the fire. The arrival of emergency services marked the end of this nightmare scenario. Sarah and Dennis were arrested for arson, their shallow intentions laid bare. What might have started as a misguided attempt at extortion ended with serious consequences. They faced the reality of their actions from behind bars, a stark reminder of the line crossed from recklessness to criminality. Sarah's subsequent imprisonment and the birth of her child in jail led to the difficult decision to place the baby in a safer environment, away from the instability and danger that seemed to follow Sarah. The child, now with the chance for a better start in life, would hopefully find security and love with foster or adoptive parents. Meanwhile, my mother suffered the physical scars of that night, a painful testament to the recklessness of Sarah and Dennis. The event underscored the tragic breakdown of what was once a family, brought to the brink by a series of misguided actions and choices. In the aftermath, we were left to pick up the pieces, a family forever changed by the events of one harrowing night. After discovering that my dad had moved out without selling our old family home, my mother started sneaking in to take valuables, unbeknownst to him. When she realized the house was unoccupied, she took it upon herself to live there. Despite her previous beauty, similar to Sarah's, my mother's actions had left her far from sympathetic in my eyes. Her betrayal of both Sarah and me made it impossible for me to feel sorry for her, especially when she irrationally demanded that my father take responsibility for the injuries she sustained while trespassing. My father firmly rejected her accusations, highlighting the illegality of her actions as both trespassing and theft. Despite her protests and the visible damage to her once beautiful face, my father remained steadfast, emphasizing that her crimes were separate from the unfortunate incident. In the aftermath, the house sustained minor damage and was still livable, but we chose to let it go. My father opted for early retirement, purchasing a modest house near the beach, and I decided to join him, embracing the opportunity to work remotely in a serene environment. Our new home, with its expansive windows, offered breathtaking views of the sea, especially at sunset. The transition from city life to the tranquility of the countryside brought unexpected joys, like the frequent sightings of local wildlife, which added a sense of adventure to our daily lives. Life in the countryside wasn't just about encounters with nature. It also brought new people into my life, including a wonderful man whose simplicity and genuine nature I found endearing. Our plans to garden together and my father's selection of wine for our evening highlighted the new, contented chapter we were embarking on. My father's affectionate and complimentary remarks were a far cry from the past, helping to heal old wounds and reshape my self-perception. The thought of wearing a beautiful wedding dress, once a distant dream, now felt within reach, spurred on by my father's supportive and loving comments. As I blushed at his teasing, it was clear that our lives had taken a turn for the better. Surrounded by nature, new beginnings, and the simple joys of rural living, we found happiness in the quiet moments and the promise of what was to come. Our days were filled with laughter, love, and the anticipation of shared futures, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the ability to find beauty and happiness in the aftermath of turmoil.